We are live on StreamYard on all these different social media platforms. So, sitting here today with my buddy Ty Tribble. He and I go way back in the day, and I like when I was titling with this the stream that we're doing today. I was thinking, okay, like he's like literally the OG blogger in network marketing. He was blogging before like anybody else was ever blogging. Like before blogging was even cool, Ty was blogging. So, dude, what's up, man? How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. Good to see you.
Yeah, what's up?
We did go way back. My goodness.
I'm trying to think. Like, do you remember where we first met?
I remember like I was so cocooned in a particular network marketing company that any people outside of that company were almost like off limits to connect with. But I remember you being a Seattle guy, and I'm secretly looking up other network marketers to find secrets. And I think you were living maybe in the Seattle area at the time. I think before you moved to Sammamish, and
yeah,
I don't know if you had a local event or something like that. Yeah, pretty cool, pretty fun.
That was probably like
who is this dude?
Yeah, I remember we met a long time ago. I was definitely in my Seattle house at the time.
Yeah,
and it's funny because I'm like looking you up in my contacts, and like I have notes on everybody. I'm not gonna read all the notes because it's a lot of it's personal stuff, but like I've got notes all the way back from from Seattle, wife and kids, member of Twin Lakes. You know, I'll just leave it right there. I got like paragraphs on you, bro.
I was literally thinking about this before we came on. I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we going to talk about? And that's never been a problem between us. But I bet that would be, I don't know if you've ever done that kind of training, but how you keep your database and connect with people over the years, and not just for business, but also, like birthdays and things like that, that it makes you stand out in the marketplace in such a huge way.
Yeah, I don't know when I started that. I think a long time ago figured out that this is a relationship game, a relationship build, and people do business with the people that they like and trust and feel good about. And the more I don't know, I think I might have learned it actually when I was in like pre-network marketing, kind of like my first couple segues into sales. And like walking in to go see a client, for example, and then looking at like a golfing picture, and knowing, oh, this guy likes golf, and then remembering that he likes golf, and as maybe even like a rapport building conversation, or he's got this big stuffed largemouth bass in his background. Obviously, he's a fisherman, and it's like a way to break the ice. And like start the rapport building process. And then I just kind of took it to a completely different level. So like every contact I put in my phone, like if I met you today, it would be like, okay, how we met, who referred you to me, what we talked about, where we were, any of the important things that I learned from that initial conversation would have been put into that, initial contact record. So yeah, I think it's just a good habit, man.
I mean, you think about it, you just never know what's going to come out of that, and just the ability to like if you talk to someone who was sharp and really on point, and you're like, man, this person would be really cool to be in business with, and they're just like, and you can just tell the timing is not right, and that's okay. Like people freak out about people saying no, and a lot of times it's no right now, right? So but to be able to like search back in your contacts, go, oh yeah, this is my 6-month reminder. I gotta go check in. It's invaluable.
Yeah.
I don't see it teach very often.
No, I mean, I think, everybody's like teaching social media. They don't teach like fundamentals anymore. It's like, to me, everything is based upon the fundamentals. Everything is, grows from the basic principles. As you were saying that, it made me think about like, when I was with ProStep for 11 years, that was like an interesting run. That was super fun, man. Do you remember ProStep, the lead generation network marketing company?
I think mostly from you telling me about it.
Yeah, I was in that from like 95 to 05. And when I would work leads and I would print out like that lead list, and as I was going through the lead list, and let's say I called somebody on the phone and I got their voicemail and I left them a message, but their voicemail sounded like, yeah, Bob, you know, I'd leave the guy a message, but I would even put a note like sounds pathetic. and then I would get somebody like, yeah, good afternoon. This is Ty. Sorry, I'm out of the office. I'm with the client right now. Love to chat with you. Blah, 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 blah. Leave a message. And I'm thinking, I don't know this dude, but he sounds great. And I would like put a star, I'd put a highlight through your name, sound sharp. And that would be like, for me, a visual reminder when I would go back through that lead list. If I hadn't talked to you yet, to go back to that, you know, to those good ones and the ones that, you know, I didn't want to. I mean, some of the people, like, I would literally take a Sharpie pen and go right through their name. I'm like, I don't even want to deal with that dude. Yeah. And that way I was like, I couldn't even read your name and phone number anymore.
You know, it's funny. We think of that as cold contacting, but it's really not any different than contacting your warm market. Everybody calls their warm market warm because they know those people. But in fact, if you think about the approach to those people, it's not a warm approach. They don't have any idea, or you have no idea whether they'd be interested in a business or product you're into. So it's kind of a misnomer. I think that I don't know how effective leads are today, but I think it would be character building to be able to like pick up the phone, or I guess you start with text messages probably today, and then leave a message, and it's probably a multifaceted thing, and look them up on Facebook and all kinds of crazy stuff you could do with it. But it would certainly build skills. That's how you get paid.
Yeah. And it's funny because like people are like, everybody's gone to like social media because it's like low hanging fruit, right? Easiest, you know, path of least resistance. And I think that when you can hide behind your computer screen, like even this is like, this is like, we're face to face, we're live, we're streaming across multiple platforms. If we screw up, man, it's just like, there's no redo, you know, so, because this is completely live. There's no time delay. And that's a lot of pressure for a lot of people to be able to put themselves out there like that. Same thing with picking up the phone and calling somebody and actually having to have a conversation with them when they can just hide behind their, you know, messenger thread. I do think, you know, for sure leads are not as prevalent in the market as they are, you know. Well, let me back up. Like purchase business opportunity leads are not as prevalent in the market today as they were 15 years ago. But everybody's a lead. I mean, every time you reach out to somebody on Instagram, or you DM somebody there, or you message somebody on Facebook, or, I mean, we could all quote consider those leads, if you will. And then people poo-poo like cold market prospecting, but they do it all damn day on social media. It's like, what the hell's the difference between you messaging some dude who you have not had a sandwich with? Guaranteed that guy that you're messaging, you haven't sat down and broken bread with that guy, but you're like, you know, they liked your post or they commented on something and you don't even know anything about them other than that you guys are quote friends on Facebook, and you message them, and it is a cold message. And it's, I mean, people even call it cold messaging because that's what it is. But then, cold calling, oh my God, that's just, you know.
Yeah.
Well, how different, like to me, like a cold call is just a phone call to somebody I haven't really met yet and finding out if they're open to taking a peek at what I'm doing. I don't see the big deal.
Yeah. And again, it builds those skills that will pay off in the long run as well.
Yeah, communication skills
and
are mandatory.
I was just going to say, you know, you don't need a million people. This idea, you know, there was a big push. I don't know, this has been years, but everybody was thinking that they needed 1,000 leads a month or hundreds of leads a month to get any benefit from doing stuff online. In reality, I mean, what if you could sponsor an extra person from your online stuff that you were producing, right? Publishing content and blogging or whatever. That's a dozen people a year that you would not have otherwise. I think there's this weird pressure that because they hear about these, I sponsor 2,000 people in a year, or they think they have to live up to that. In reality, the average person could do great. And who knows what kind of person you're going to get out of that dozen. You might find a runner that takes your business to a completely different level. You just never know. That's the beauty of what we do. It's like fishing.
Oh yeah, prospecting and fishing are like, there's so many similarities. And you know me, I'm a fishing freak. So, you know, if your line isn't in the water, you ain't catching any fish. If you're fishing in a pond with small fish, all you're going to catch is small fish. But if you fish in a pond that's got big fish and small fish, and you've got skills, and you're putting the right bait in front of them, and you know how to set the hook properly. I mean, there's so many perfect analogies between fishing and prospecting. You know, hey, going back to like the whole, you know, I sponsored 1,032 people into my deal. You know, it's so funny to me is when I see ads online of people talking, like there's ads like on Facebook right now. It's like, I sponsored 862 people into my deal. I'm like, you're full of shit. You didn't sponsor. You put them into your marketing deal. That's the thing that pisses me off is like these guys that are selling these marketing systems. Cause here's the thing, like, marketers are really good at like taking your wound and like salting it and scratching it and making it more painful. That's what marketers do. And so they, you know, to me, it's like a total lie because I know some of these guys and they're like, I sponsor 862 people into my deal. Okay. No, you put 862 people in the deal that you're trying to get these people into, and you're bringing them on the premise that they're going to use this tool, this resource to build their primary network marketing business, but they end up building your deal. And I've always had kind of an issue with that because very, very few times has there's a few of them where people are legitimately using those items to grow their businesses. But most of the time they're like, you know, they're growing the system and the thing that they are marketing, which is interesting.
Yeah. That system can quickly become the thing. If, you know, like, I mean, I'm still a big believer in building a list and, you know, giving away something for free and you get them on your list and then that becomes your lead gen. So, and then you can sell them something to help offset the cost of your ads and things of that nature. But if, you know, like if it gets a little bit of traction, you get good at advertising, things like that, all of a sudden that thing on the front end that you were going to use to build the back end is bigger than the back end. And, you know, I mean, there's a good part of that because part of network marketing is it can take some time to build a check, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people think that they get into the business and 6 months later, they're going to be wealthy. And I think you had your struggles in the beginning. I certainly had my struggles in the beginning. There's just this underlying current of you must grow fast in order to be successful. And I didn't grow fast at all. In fact, you know, my first 5 years were 3-4 nights a week out the door, putting my wife in nylons, you know, driving in my Ford Taurus all over Kingdom Come, and to get a check for $1,200 that I spent probably $2,000 that month to get. And so if you add up those things, it's not a good situation. But then I took that 5-year sabbatical from the business and I kept studying everything. And I came back and sponsored like 100 people in 9 months. And 18 months later, I was 6 figures. And that was like in the 2003 area. And that's, you know, that's 20 years ago. So I've had a 20-year run of amazing success in network marketing, but 10 years of not success. Now the question is, I haven't had a job since 2003. Was that worth it? Right?
Yeah.
It's worth it.
I would say it's worth it.
People struggle for 6 months and they go, oh, not for me.
I know. And me, it was like 2 years. In my first 2 years, I made almost nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like selling water filters door to door to buy Top Ramen.
Yeah.
And back then, I think Top Ramen was like, I don't know, 10 cents or something, you know. And if I could throw an egg in it, if I could put an egg in it, oh my God, it was like amazing, right? And I'm walking around with all swollen fingers because like there's so much sodium. Like the sodium intake is like one pack of Top Ramen is like 5 days of sodium. You know, it's so bad. But it's funny.
I'm praying for a little protein.
Either that or I could afford to get a Domino's pizza. And I went through this phase of like pepperoni and anchovy, which I probably did that because I was so used to consuming so much sodium with Top Ramen that like the thought of a salty, like bony anchovy on a piece of pizza just grosses me out, man.
Yeah.
But there was like Domino's thin crust pepperoni with anchovy. Ugh.
Ugh. You're probably craving that, like, what is it, the omega oils?
Oh my gosh, I haven't had pizza in like, I mean, like, I haven't had pizza in at least 3 months. This is the longest stint with no pizza because I've been on this dieta for like just for a while, and it's a very stringent, like what you can and can't eat. Like, there's no pork products, like whatever. I haven't had bacon in like 3 months. Um, you know, I got 9 or I got seven more days, and then I can break my dieta. So, I'm not gonna go crazy, but and I also noticed like you eat clean, and then all of a sudden you eat like hell. You realize, man, my body doesn't like that stuff. I don't know if I want to keep eating that.
Yeah. I've been back on it recently. I bounce around in different diets because of my heart health. And I felt like, because I went plant-based 100%, which actually felt great in the beginning. But after a while, I felt like I was just kind of wearing down. I'm just not sure there's a level of protein, right? You have to be really stringent, eating a lot of beans and stuff like that to get the protein I think you need I'm 6'4", right? A couple hundred pounds. I'm a big kid. So getting that level of protein that you need to be healthy, and it's harder with the plant-based stuff. But yeah, I've been working on getting cleaner and doing all that stuff myself too. So
yeah, I think it's interesting. There's like if you're like trying to diet right now or lose weight, there's like the polar, there's like the carnivore side, and then there's like the vegan side, then there's the keto, and and then there's like whole grains, and it's like, what the hell, what am I going to do here? Like, people have got to be like confused. Like, I know like I watch a lot of Joe Rogan, and like I know he's like pretty much all carnivore, and then you got people that are full on vegan and they don't eat any meat at all. I mean, I watched one of his episodes last week, and I think the last 2 months because I basically eat steak, eggs, and bacon.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm never hungry because I've never felt better in my life. So it's kind of interesting because, like you mentioned, like, your heart health, and like most doctors, like cardiovascular doctors will tell you, like, okay, you got to go beans, vegetables, no more animal fats. But then there's the other side of that equation, and it's like you see people that are on a lot of animal fats. They're not eating wheat, they're not eating grains, they're not eating bread. I mean, I don't think animal fats and a bunch of crappy carbs is going to be good for you, but it's got to be kind of confusing for a lot of people trying to figure out like what's healthy. I don't know. To me, I've just learned, like, I eat what makes me feel good. Like, I could have a chorizo and egg burrito, which I love. Oh my gosh. But then I'm on the couch afterwards for like, I get up and have a breakfast burrito, and then I'm like, I think I'm just going to watch movies today, versus like having some, super light, something that's got some berries and some oatmeal or something like that. And then I feel great afterwards. So,
it's really funny. I saw it probably on TikTok. I saw a guy talking about, I think it was a doctor. He said, you've got these carnivore dieters on the one side, and then you got the plant-based and the vegans on the other side. He goes, particularly the plant-based, because vegan, you could still eat those processed stuff, and that's what probably got away from me in a way. Like, when I went that direction, they started coming out, like within 6 months, they started coming out with all these like Impossible burgers, which are fantastic, but not healthy at all.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, there's like 82 ingredients in an Impossible burger, or what is it? The Morning Star, like chicken patties, and I don't know. Is that ultimately healthier than, like, I don't know.
Hard to say.
Yeah.
I've had the one thing. So people say, I feel amazing on the carnivore diet, or I feel amazing on the plant-based diet. And the one thing that is congruent between the two is there's no processed foods.
Yeah.
So I feel great because you're not eating processed crap. I feel great on this side. Well, probably because you're not eating processed garbage, right? Interesting.
Yeah, I don't think the food companies that process food have our health in mind.
Saw a dude that is spending some time in Italy, and he said, Coca-Cola over here has freaking 5 ingredients. If you look at Coca-Cola on ours, it's unbelievable. They don't sell Diet Coke because of the aspartame and all this stuff. It's like, We're getting poisoned. Like
Yeah.
a ketchup bottle in Canada is dynamically different than a ketchup bottle in the US in terms of the number of ingredients and all the crap that they're putting in. I don't know why why are they allowed to kill us?
I don't know. I mean, that turns into a 5-hour episode.
Yeah.
That'll probably get banned from every social media outlet that we're on. You know, it was interesting. A few years ago, I was doing a mileage run. You know me, like every year I got at the end of the year, I'm like flying to Hong Kong or flying to Japan for sushi overnight to make sure I have my 100,000 miles if I'm short. And I don't know, about 6 or 7 years ago, Carla and I went to Rome, and she's, you know, she's super gluten sensitive. So like she doesn't eat any gluten here, like anything that's got any kind of wheat in it. And then, you know, we were in Italy, and the whole time we were in Italy, she was eating pastas, she was eating pizza, she was eating breads, and she didn't get that, you know, itchy nose and get all phlegmy and all the stuff that happens when she eats that stuff here, because it's just, you know, it's a different kind of wheat over there. And it was amazing. It was cool for her because she was like eating like really amazing, you know, pasta cuisines and other things that she doesn't get a chance to eat here because, you know, we just don't have the same kind of food here.
Yeah, amazing. I bought a you mentioned pizza. I bought a pizza oven for my
one of those Umis?
Similar, yeah. It's fun.
Didn't that thing whip out like a pizza in like 5 minutes or something?
Shorter than that. You could do it in 2 minutes easily.
Wow.
It's like 900 degrees. I bought one of those little infrared laser testers to check the temperature. That thing is like 900 right in the middle. Like, whoo.
Yeah. Hot. Yeah. Now that wood burning pizzas in New York are banned.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Still make them at home. But I haven't had one in a while, so that's probably good.
I'm going up to the river property this weekend, and I have a Dutch oven, and I've never used it. And you can make like biscuits, and I'm still going to be on the dieta, so I'm not going to be able to do it. But I want to make a pizza in there because you can make a pizza inside the Dutch oven, which is going to be cool.
Yeah, it's fun. The secret property. I wonder if anybody's ever tried to find you there.
They're not gonna find me. That's my bug out spot. You know, we've had that place for like 22 years now.
Oh man, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And it's just when COVID hit, it was funny when COVID hit, we had I have some friends of mine, and they were like, oh, you know, we were like the whole summer we went, like we were up there pretty much every weekend.
Oh yeah.
And we had some friends that, because you couldn't travel, the only thing you could do is go to like campgrounds and stuff. And we had some friends that were like, yeah, I bet you guys, if you had lived in Bend before, you guys probably would have never bought that property. And, you know, because there's so many places to camp outside of where I live. Right. And then they couldn't find a camping spot. Like we just had our private spot that we own that is ours, that I know anybody who's around us because it's inside of a locked gate. And they were like, couldn't even find a place to camp. And they were all like, then I think she kind of changed her tune, like, oh, I guess it's kind of cool having your own private campground. I don't like camping in like public campgrounds. I either do our property or I take my overlanding trailer and do like fully dispersed camping, because you just don't know what you have next to you. You know, some crazy person wants to stay up all night or whatever. So. And
anymore, like I follow a couple of camping groups on Facebook, and they're like, oh, I was in the Yakima, whatever campground, which is in Washington State, and we left for an hour, and someone ransacked our camp.
Seriously,
stole all our stuff. Like, what? Insanity.
Yeah, you got to have your firearm and your game cam with you. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
I actually have a game cam set up at my property.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So anybody who walks on there, I see them, and they don't even know I see them. And I got audio too, so I can hear them.
Yeah. Like beautiful. Your ring for the property.
Yeah. Kind of.
I took my grandson, who's about almost 2. He'll be 2 in September. Such a cool, fun kid. Camping for the first time, but we found a private campground on 140 acres. They've got horses. It's like this agri-tourism place. I think they only have 6 campgrounds. You got this really cool, they got the fire pit all set up for you, really big tarp all put into place. Not expensive at all, just fun. And you know, just spending time out in the wilderness and the nature with the young guys. I mean, he just had a ball. But yeah, finding something like that, finding a property. We're looking at property right now ourselves, because I think that would be like a really cool thing to have for the family in the long run, and maybe build something out there in the future.
Are you looking in what state are you looking in? Washington or?
I don't know. Washington is the 5th most expensive state to retire in, and I'm like, I'm over 50 now, and I've been semi-retired at different times based on what I'm doing. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard. But then the Northwest, it's hard to argue with. Like, there's no hurricanes, there's no bugs per se, there's no snakes that are going to kill you.
Well, I don't know about that, man. You go fly fishing about 2 hours north of me, and you might step on a big rattlesnake. So
yeah.
And then like when you get to east of the mountains, right? It's dry and hot, and I'm a full-on left coaster, man. I've lived in Washington, Oregon, California, and Arizona. Those are the 4 states I've lived in. And if I was going to go anywhere, it would be Idaho, Montana, or Wyoming. Probably would be the only states outside of Oregon that I would even consider.
Yeah, Washington's rough politically and a lot of things.
Yeah, I can't go back, man. I mean, it's if you look at the city. I mean, if you look at like Portland or you look at Seattle. I mean, like Portland, Seattle, San Francisco. All those cities have just turned into nightmares. I have a friend of mine that owns an internet company, and he's had an office building in San Francisco for like, I don't know, 20 plus years. And I visited him. I actually had to do a really small mileage run in December. It was really cool. So I went down to San Francisco. It was like, really, all I have to do is that.
Oh, nice.
So I spent the day with like my college friends, and he goes, man, I haven't been back to my building for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And so he's got this lease that he's paying for like $20,000 a month or something, and they don't even use it anymore.
Yeah.
And the only time he's been down there is like somebody had broken in and started living in there, and they had to go down and kick the guy out. But there's like feces all over the streets, and needles and open drug use. I mean, it's all these cities have always had like stuff. I mean, it's a city, right? There's always homeless.
There's always the crazies, right?
Yeah, but now it's
part of the allure.
Yeah, I mean, I used to love going to downtown Seattle. I used to go down to Belltown, and when we were living in Seattle, we'd taxi in, and it was like a 8-10 minute taxi into Belltown and go party, and then come home. I don't know if I would even want to go downtown anymore at night.
No, my wife used to work in Pioneer Square, downtown Seattle, which is kind of the center of the city. And she would walk down near where the stadiums are, which is probably a couple mile hike, every morning in the dark, every night in the dark. 5'4" little girl walking along, never a worry. And I'm 6'4" today. I don't know if I'd want to make that walk.
Not in the dark, man.
But see, the thing that gets me crazy is that there's certain people that feel like they're doing those people a favor by providing them more tents and different places to live instead of getting them help. I mean, these people have like typically it's going to be mental, it's going to be drug use. If we could figure out, if we can spend so much money on war in Ukraine, can't we get these people some real help, right?
That's the same thing with like veterans, like guys that go out, and men and women that go fight for our country, and they lose limbs and fingers and arms and legs, and how are we not taking care of our own? And why do we have to have charities that, like Wounded Warriors or whatever? I mean, it's cool that they have that charity, but why do we even need to have a charity when they're out fighting for our country? And a lot of times, is it really in our best interest? And then they're not taken care of. That drives me nuts, man. I mean, how much money does our government waste? I mean, buying $12,000 toilet seats to, billions of dollars in Ukraine. And I'm like, I don't know, like this whole, whatever they call it, the military industrial complex. It's like having to, always be at war. It's like a multi-trillion-dollar a year industry. It's crazy.
Got to have an emergency so you can look like you're effective in office, right?
Yeah. Hey, so let's shift gears real quick. So, like when you, how did you get it? Like like I said, I titled this thing like the OG blogger at MLM, because when I first started reading your stuff, it was early 2000s, and I don't really remember, like, I mean, that was before, that was like when there was like RSS feeds. You remember those things? And I didn't even know what the hell that was. Like real simple syndication, I guess is what it stands for. But like, how did you get into blogging, and what did that do for you? Like, talk about that whole experience, because that's so interesting, because you were such an early adopter in that.
I can tell you the exact date, October of 2003, when I published my first blog post. And I did it because I was on this guy who worked for a newspaper somewhere in the South, started a blog about a particular network marketing company. And I thought, that's really interesting. And he would post every day, write new little news bits. And I'm thinking, just my own little brain going along, I'm reading this. I wonder if I could start something more generic in scope about the network marketing industry as a whole. And I wonder if people would read it, because, you know, who knows what would happen then. And I could maybe sponsor some people. It might be fun. I could run an ad on the side of the thing and do my own thing, whatever. So I launched, and for, I don't remember how long, I bet a good 3, 4, 5, 6 months. I just wrote like a blog article a day. And then I decided, I learned about a little thing that you could put this little piece of code on your site that would actually tell you how many visitors you have. Because before that, I almost no idea who I'm writing to. People would comment on occasion. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I put the code on, and for like 3 months after that, no, I think more like a month. It was a long time ago. I would get one person a day reading that blog. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, I'm writing for one person a day. This is a lot, but one is better than none. So I just pushed through and wrote for a whole month. And then toward the end of that month, I'm going to do a little more research into the analytics. So I do, and I go, whoa, that person reading it is from Seattle. Wild. And then I do a little more research. I'm like, whoa, that person reading it is from my neighborhood. And then I do a little more research, and I'm like, whoa,
it's me.
That person's IP address is the same as mine. It was me. I'm the one reader.
Oh my God.
I wrote for 7 months, like mostly for me to read. And then, and then it started to get some traction, right? And I think at the peak, it was getting about, on an average day, about 3,000 unique visitors.
Wow.
That's a lot of traffic. And, I mean, out of that, I started, like promoting some affiliate programs, Mike Dillard stuff, as an example.
Mike.
And
Mr. Magnetic
did really well there. I think I was like the number 2 or 3 affiliate for him. And Ann Sieg had some stuff. I was like her number 1 affiliate, all because of the blog. And out of that blog, here's the funny part. Everybody, like, what I need a giveaway to build my list. Who knows? Well, I gave away a copy of Think and Grow Rich because it was public domain.
Yep.
I like downloaded a PDF of Think and Grow Rich because it was free and it was public domain. And I gave it away, and people put in their email address to get the copy that they could have just like Googled to find.
Yeah.
Because it looked cool. But that was my first like opt-in on the side of that thing. And out of that, that's almost exactly how I sponsored 100 people in 9 months. And that's really the beginning of my network marketing success. Some of the other little things that came out of it, like one day I was reading through my email, and I get this email from a company called Wiley & Sons.
Oh.
And they're like, have you ever thought about writing a book? And I'm like, oh, this has got to be like a scam or something like that. And then I did a little research into Wiley and Sons and found out that they're like the largest business book publisher in the world. They do all the For Dummies books, like eBay for Dummies, Gardening for Dummies, all these other things. And they made me an offer. They're like, we want you to write a book about network marketing. I'm like, whoa, you know, like I'm not a professional writer. I didn't go to school to be a writer, but from blogging, and at that point I was probably writing at minimum of 5 to 10 blog posts a day, which seems like a lot.
Wow. Were you publishing that many a day? Like multiple? Wow.
Over a couple of different blogs. So I actually had another company contract me to write some more, actually two other companies. There was a startup that was putting, I don't know if you remember, there were at the time, there were like these blog networks.
Yeah.
Different blogs. And so there was one that wanted a network marketing blog. So I wrote for them and they paid pretty well. And then there was another guy that I was writing for. He had a big site, business opportunities site that was kind of interesting. And he wanted a network marketing side. And then I would write some on my own site. So I became like a writer all of a sudden. This was weird. Not my main skill. But that actually transformed into copywriting to a certain extent, and particularly email marketing. And it's probably email marketing that's been my biggest friend in the network marketing space, something that a lot of people will just ignore. In fact, I just did I had a company come to me and they wanted, I brought the idea to them actually. They have a list of, I don't know, over 100,000 people that they've purged from their distributor. You know, like they hadn't ordered in like 5 years or something like that. So they took them out of the system. So this list of 100,000 people sitting there between 5 years old and 20 years old. And I said, you know, that's just, they were opted in. As long as you scrub that list and clean it up, you still have an opportunity to send them an email. So I wrote 10 emails. They haven't sent to the whole list yet. They've been sending it in chunks, but they did 65 grand in sales to that list in 3 weeks.
Wow.
That they'd completely written off. And as a result of email marketing. Simple.
Yeah.
Pretty fun.
I want to talk more about email marketing, but I want to go back to something real quick. Like on the blog.
Yeah.
Like when you're starting your blog and because it's interesting. I mean, this is way long time ago before, like there was no video, there was no streaming video back then.
No.
Right. It was all written blog posts. Like now, like my blog has and I think I've been blogging for like 17 years. Mine has always been video. So my there's written content, but it's based around what's in the video. So the primary part of my blog that people, dig into is the actual video, and then the writing, of course, it's there. But how did you come up like what's interesting, like as somebody who's produced content for a really, really long time, at one point I remember at the end of 2016, I was like, dude, I've said everything I need to say about network marketing.
Right.
I mean, how freaking hard is it? Like, I don't need to say what I've said it umpteen different ways. And what I had to do for my mental sanity was like, I went into 2017, like, oh, I've never posted about network marketing before.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I had to mentally put myself in that place where I've never even done a single post about anything, not prospecting, not recruiting, not warm market, not referrals, not, team building, not tap rooting, nothing, zero. And so like allowed me to just like, reconstitute new ideas around subjects that I'd probably already written about or done things on. But when you started blogging and you were doing one a day, like that's, and then multiple a day, actually at some point, how did you come up with what was your strategy to come up with content?
Yeah. So I started by subscribing at the time. I think there's like a Google subscription thing where you could subscribe to news with keywords in it. So I would subscribe to anything that had a keyword of network marketing or MLM or a list of probably 50 companies. And a lot of times some of the news was just boring stuff, the same old stuff. But on occasion, you would get some interesting stuff. And then, at the time, particularly at this time, I was really sponsoring and talking to a lot of people. So I would get ideas from that. So when you're in the game, right, you know this better than anybody. When you're in the game, you can teach at a different level than someone who is maybe just training. When you're actually out there producing, and your family's income depends on you producing, it's a different level of engagement and learning and teaching that you can do, I think. So I remember, like, off the top of my head, I remember a goofy story about the fact that, most people don't talk to enough people in network marketing. And then that's a big problem. And the reason is they probably think that other people are going to think they're crazy or whatever. But, like, I remember thinking about this in an analogy. I'm thinking, okay, so if I went to the movies and I'm standing in line, and for some reason there's no more lines at movies, but back in the day, when you go to a movie, you'd like stand in line for 5 or 10 minutes waiting for it to open, or stand in line for concert tickets. It doesn't matter, whatever the line is. And I remember thinking, if you started singing Kumbaya in that line, you can almost guarantee someone's going to join in. And I'm like, network marketing is the same thing. You don't know who it is, but someone is going to join because they see a lot of what you see. They may see it from a very different perspective, but they have their own dreams and goals and aspirations in life. So they join you and begin to pursue, not for your reasons, but for their own. So I wrote about that, like the law of Kumbaya in network marketing. Like, stupid, but kind of catchy.
Yeah.
And you never know. Like, today, if you just follow, Twitter would be a great place, or the new Threads or whatever. Follow a bunch of network marketing leaders and trainers, and you're going to get ideas. Here was my strategy back then. This is what I taught, and I still think this is applicable today. Is if you want to be a blogger, read 5 blog posts a day, and then pull your favorite one. And I used to just post a portion of it, and then write my own take on it, my own perspective. Credit that person so that they're getting some link backs to their own site, because that's the right thing to do. I'm not stealing their content, but I'm actually posting some of a fair use amount of their content, and then I'm expanding on them from my perspective. And I think that, if you're reading these 5 blog posts a day, there's no one in the world like you. You're a unique person. You're going to have a different perspective than other people. And once you get going, I think the biggest thing is writers write. So once you get going and once you start doing it, a good example is like a guy named, everybody knows this, Ray Higdon. Yeah. That dude has done a video a day for like 15 years, maybe, something like that. Insane level of production, of publishing. And you're going to get rewarded. I think today, as I'm getting back into publishing more so these days, and I've got a podcast coming out in the near future. I've got some other stuff, some video stuff, but like today it's different in terms of what you can do with one video. Like you talked about, your blog is video based. The cool thing about that is that you do that video, and then the written content just flows from there. And I would bet that you could pull some interesting tweets from that video content, and you could probably pull some Facebook anecdotes out of it, and you could probably pull some TikTok clips out of it. So if you did one video, 10 minutes, all of a sudden you can take that and you're on TikTok, you're on Facebook, you're on your blog, you're on YouTube, you're all these places. Like you talked about, this is being streamed across multiple platforms. I used to have to do that manually, take my blog post and send it to, I don't know, all these different syndication places today, and it's like an automatic thing these days. But one little piece of content a day, publishing can get you a lot of traffic, and it only takes time. Where like advertising is good. I still do paid advertising a lot, but you better know what you're doing.
Oh man,
right?
Yeah, you can waste so much money so fast,
so easy.
And I can't, I just don't understand how people will dig into running an ad, and then they'll run an ad and they'll send it to their self-replicated website for their network marketing company.
Yeah.
And you can't even track it.
No.
Anything that you do, I'll just say this straight up, any of you guys that are watching, if you're going to run an ad, it needs to be trackable.
Yeah.
You need to have it go to some opt-in page where they're requesting something for free, or it's a small purchase or something.
Yeah.
I've seen people running ads, and it's just like, you have no way of tracking any kind of metrics there.
Yeah. In my particular company, I actually got permission to build a Shopify store with the products on it so I could track.
Oh, cool.
Right.
That's
right.
Cool.
So I built my own card out. And I run successful ads, directly to the products, but you can't do that to a replicated site. It's almost impossible. But I think network marketing companies are going to figure that out. I don't think it would be hard to put tracking or allow for individual tracking. It's almost like a replicated site. You can fill in your associate number or whatever, and then it replicates, but you should be able to fill in some code and it replicates too. So I think that's probably coming, if not here at some point.
Oh, I mean, the technology's here. It's just whether they, I think there's a lot of network marketing companies that still, they're like anti-internet, and they're almost like anti-marketing too.
Yeah.
I had a guy, I had this couple, they were together at the time. They came to me and they're like, this company or that company, because I've had this happen a lot where people come and they're asking my advice on where to go. And I said, well, I mean, if you never want to build again, you can go here and that deal will never disappear, but you have to play by his rules. And if you break his rules, you're going to be in trouble. And you know exactly which company I'm referring to. And I say that
100%.
And then there's this other company. And I'm like, yeah, they're having a really good run. They're definitely cooler and sexier. And there's a pretty good likelihood that they're going to do well. And they've continued to do really well. They went with the older 35-plus-year-old company. I mean, this guy's got the head of compliance in his cell phone. He's gotten phone calls and text messages, hundreds of them, does a Facebook post that has nothing to do with the business whatsoever.
Yeah.
You need to take that down. But I mean, so they've been able to kind of meander that territory and have made, $200,000 to $400,000 or $500,000 a year.
Yeah.
But I was going to go do that deal like almost 25 years ago. And that was when I was in ProStep. And I was like, look, I got a, $25,000 a month plus check here. And I need the leads to build this business. Can I come over here and build this thing? And I was on the phone with their head legal counsel, and they're like, no, you're going to have to abandon that. I'm like, well, I guess I'm not going to come over here and build. I mean, I'm not going to abandon a $25,000 a month check to come over here and build when I could use the tools from this company to actually build this business. So I never went over there.
I feel like it's got to change at some point. Like the fine line today is like, okay, you could do affiliate marketing outside of your network marketing business and not be in trouble for most of them. But if you ever considered, like I'm buying products from another company and they'd be like, whoa, what are you doing? Well, we don't have this product and it's a good product and I want to support my friend. And they'd be like, I don't know.
I try to I buy from a lot of different network marketing companies like that. I'd rather support our profession.
Yeah.
If it's a product that your company doesn't have, if it's a product my company has, I would buy it from my company. But if they don't have it, then I'm going to purchase it. So, but then it goes into, it's like the philosophy. Okay. So are you building those things? I'm like, no, I don't know. I don't know if I know really well. There's a couple of anomalies in the business that have, checks in multiple companies and are able to build multiple companies simultaneously, but that's highly unusual.
Yeah.
Highly unusual. But there's tons of people that are in like 2, 3, 4 different deals. And then they're like, hey, how come I'm not making any money. I'm like, because it's hard enough to build one, let alone 2 or 3 or 4. I mean, pick your horse and ride it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. But like the stringent, like you're talking about ProStep and the other company, which shall not be named. It's funny. I knew as soon as you mentioned like stringent, I'm like, oh, I know.
Oh yeah. FS, baby.
Yeah. It's funny because like non-competes are very, very interesting. And some companies, like I've heard talk behind closed doors in network marketing companies where they are literally doing everything they possibly can to make sure that the people who aren't building anymore aren't receiving as much benefit as the people that built or are currently building, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if this person is producing $100,000 in volume and this person is producing $100,000 in volume, but this person is actually sponsoring and working it right now, and this person's essentially retired, they want this person to make less.
Well, actually, the company that we're referring to, they actually have that built in. Like you have to have specific points, assist points and recruiting points in order to qualify for your check. I actually have a really good friend of mine that, that I've known for over 20 years who really loves that particular company. And her mom got sick. And so she had to like tend to her mother for like 3 months. So she couldn't meet the requirements and her check dropped by like 90%.
Oof.
Which is terrible. I mean, she had to like care for her dying mother, and I don't know. Just to me, that's just wrong.
And these are the same people that touted residual income and the freedom and
yeah,
all this stuff, and then they take it away. Yeah,
let's go back to let's go back to email marketing for a second.
Yeah.
So the value of the list or list building, like what, like today from a strategic standpoint, if you're going to build a list and increase the amount of subscribers that are on your email list, like what strategies would you deploy?
Yeah. I think content publishing. Like right now, the next thing I'm working on right now is a 5 to 10 minute video 5 days a week. So if you really look at it, you're going to put some time into that, but total time on camera is going to be an hour-ish. If I'm one cut Todd, I could probably knock it out in 30 minutes.
I always do it like that. I can't help myself.
But they come out great. That's Todd Falcone. If you need him to cut a video, you give him a topic and a time frame, and he will have it done. One take, done.
Yeah, pretty much.
One take, Todd. Yeah.
Occasionally, what's so funny about that? My family owned a radio station. This is hilarious. So they owned a radio station, and after I failed for 2 years in network marketing, I took a job as an account executive, and I was selling advertising, and I would make these spec commercials for my clients. So I would go, and I had access to the studio, so I would go in the studio, and it was so funny. I would I'd be on a microphone, and I'd be like, okay, ready? Welcome to Cardinale Furniture, where our furniture is better than everybody else's furniture. And my radio voice would come out, and I sounded like, and I would and this was on tape. So I would have to go re-record it, and I would do 60 takes to do a single 60-second spec commercial. And then in the end, it all sounded like crap anyhow, because I was doing this weird radio voice that I was trying to make up. And then when I started doing video, I just would turn the video on and look into the lens and, good afternoon, Todd Falcone. Welcome to another episode of, blah, blah, blah. We're going to talk about this today. And I literally would just have a couple of notes and a thought process and know what I'm going to do. And 99.9% of the time, there's never a second take. So it's so weird.
That's a great lesson. Even if you think there should be a second take, maybe it's a good idea not to do one, because then you're human and other people can see if you did make a mistake, which you rarely make a mistake, but other people, like, when you're getting started doing it, you're not going to be great. And I know that just getting back into that content production, I'm not going to be great. So 10 to 10 minute videos a week. Out of that, I want to create TikToks, tweets. I already tweet, but some Facebook posts for my group, blog posts. So similar to what you do, take the content and put the video on there, and then also have the writing. And I think that, in addition, you need to give away something to build that list. So that's the publishing is the driver of the traffic, and then you give away something. So it's attraction marketing. It's direct, to consumer marketing. You're really trying to get that person that relates to you to opt into something. So whatever that is, I'm creating a giveaway. I've been bouncing around a couple different things. One is no list, no business, no future. So this idea that if you don't have a list, which the first thing they teach you in network marketing is to build a list, but they don't really ever teach you to build a list.
Yeah, how to do it.
Teach you to get your whatever's in your brain and your high school yearbook onto paper or whatever. They don't teach you how to build a real internet marketing asset, which is that list. So I think that's a good skill. I think people would like to learn that. The other one is, like network marketers over 50. Like, we're both over 50. I won't give it away, but we're still prime, I think.
Yeah, baby.
We're as good as anybody in terms of building a business. And people can go, 50, 55. I'm too old to start something. And I think you're going to be around for another 25, 30 years. It's a perfect time to start something. You're good at your career already, and you've got that fairly dialed in. You've got extra time. People say, I don't have time. Well, come on. Like you talked about commuting to and from work and doing business at that time because that was the only time you had, and built successfully doing that. So everybody has the time. So I think there's people our age might need a little nudge. I think Gary Vee does a good job of talking about that.
Yeah.
But specific to the network marketing business, I think there'd be some things that we can, because like the tech, both of us are, I'm not saying we're super techie, but we know enough to navigate that field. Where my kids, I was talking about this concept of immigrants and natives. So my kids are natives in the world of technology. You and I are immigrants. When we were, 12, 13, 14, the Atari was a big deal. Playing Pong on our home TV was this huge deal. Where my kids have never been in a house without a couple iPads and their own computers and all that kind of stuff. Yours too, I imagine.
Oh yeah.
So it's a completely different world for them. But I think that people our age get afraid of the new technology. And like, if I told the average person, like, okay, I want you to make a video, like, oh, I don't even know where to start. I mean, like, get your phone, click the little camera thing and move the slider over to video and go. Make sure it's switched around.
Yeah.
It's not like rocket science, but I think there's some room there. So I've been bouncing around the different ideas of what to give away, but I think those two might be interesting. And then I'll probably create some kind of training on the back end of that to help pay for the ads that I run. But predominantly, I'm looking to generate traffic via content and podcast that content. If it's it's interesting. A lot of people say I need to do a 30-minute podcast or a 25-minute podcast or a 45-minute podcast. Or like a Joe Rogan, it's 3 hours. And in reality, I've seen 5 to 10-minute podcasts with a tight topic, and the guy gets in and says something, and then he gets off, and people love that stuff.
Yeah, so like Russell was doing marketing in your car, and he would literally just turn his phone on when he was commuting from his house in Boise over to the office, and that was his podcast. I mean, my podcast is basically not basically, it's the weekly blog post video, because my content strategy has been a video every week.
Yep.
That's released on Monday, and we just strip the audio off of the video, and it gets turned into a podcast with a open and a close.
Yep. Same thing.
And then it goes on YouTube, and then it's embedded on my site. But that's been the strategy. You know, what's interesting is I think a lot of times people, when it comes to content, and okay, they're a network marketer, and they want to push out content to do lead gen. They think that, I have to do stuff about network marketing. And I'm like, well, you can, but like for me, it's easy to talk about network marketing because I've done it for so long, and that's like my area of expertise. Yeah. But like, let's say your area of expertise is in the kitchen doing vegan cuisine or something, or you're like, I don't know, amazing woodworker or something, or you're a bushcraftsman or woman, or a fisherman or woman, and you're really good at something. You could literally be pushing out content around a subject matter that, it's just easy for you to push it out. Like, okay, if you said, Todd, you need to do a blog on chemical engineering, I'd be like, I don't even know what that means. Right? So, it would be really difficult for me to do that. But I mean, I could do a steelhead fishing blog or a skiing blog or something like that. And then they're like, well, how does it pertain to network marketing? Well, it doesn't need to pertain to network marketing. You're developing an audience around something that you all have a mutual interest in. And when you have a mutual interest in a particular subject, then, I mean, they're going to be like, why are you always out playing? Or why are you out? I see you and you're out doing this all the time. How are you able to afford to do that? Or you could even end up putting your own ads on your own blog and through the content that you're pushing out. And it doesn't have to do with network marketing. So it doesn't mean, like, as we're talking about this, I just want people to understand that we don't need to have 10,000 people doing blogs about network marketing. I think, I mean, if your area of expertise is there, or maybe you have a degree of vulnerability, and that's a hard word to say, and you kind of share your journey of not really knowing what the hell you're doing and kind of flying by the seat of your pants, and
not nearly enough of that.
No. I like the when people are just raw and real and honest. I mean, it's kind of like Instagram. The butt pictures or whatever, and the filters, and I don't know, there's like that one crazy filter on TikTok where it's like the glamour filter, and it like completely changes a woman's face to, like, it's insane. And you see it before the filter and then after the filter, and you're looking at it, and like, if you didn't know that was a filter, you probably wouldn't know that was a filter, but it is. I mean, technology is crazy, like deep fakes and AI, and I mean, think about that. I just got my voice back today from Descript. So, it's crazy how and right before we hopped on here, I was like playing this little clip of some text, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's my voice, but it's not me. So weird.
Yeah.
Craziness.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Like an AI is another tool. Like if you don't know what to write about, ask AI what to write about. I'm writing a blog about, and I mean, here's the thing, like in my particular company, they're older, and I'm just going to say wiser about the products. That's a hint in terms of they are a product-centered group, right? But they have 20, 30 years, some of these people, of content in their head related to the products, and you have to be careful of claims and all that stuff, but carefully curated, they could do a blog post a week easily, and a video and all this content that would be very interesting about particular products that help people with whatever, right? So I just think, and like you said, it hit me when you said your content doesn't have to be about network marketing. That's a really great point, because like if you watch a TV show, a lot of people fast forward through commercials these days, but I watch them because I get paid to produce marketing. So I want to see what's going on. The marketing on TV sucks generally, but every once in a while you get something good. Your commercial you're watching is not 100% about the content you're watching. Right. So like, if I'm watching there, have you ever watched Alone?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Oh, great. I can never do it in a million years, but I love watching it. And the commercials are not all about, what axe to use or the right paracord or anything like that, or like the right fishing line or something like that. It's never about that. They're still selling like Coca-Cola and Budweiser or whatever. So people think if you just step back and look at what publishing content used to be, which was TV, radio, newspaper, and now you can do it as good or more traffic on Twitter and YouTube. You look at like Tucker Carlson. I don't care whether you agree with his politics, but that dude, when he puts out a Twitter, I think it's a Twitter video or something like that, he crushes CNN and MSNBC and Fox and all of them in traffic.
It's insane.
And yet it's a free platform that anyone can utilize and put out their own content. It's pretty wild.
Anybody can be a publisher today. I mean,
yeah.
In fact, I was,
and we all should.
Yeah. I mean, Joe Rogan, I don't remember what episode it was, but he was talking about just that. Like, he was talking, about comedians. I don't remember. I don't know if he was on with Andy Stump or something, and they were chatting about how back in the day, like you had to like go out and like be, traveling and broke and at all these shows, and you got guys that are starting YouTube channels. I mean, look at like JP Sears, for example. Like he's built his whole following through a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And I mean, the guy got super ballsy and, really kind of started speaking up just about all the insanity, which like it was interesting because he did a show here in Bend a few years ago, and I live in a pretty liberal town, so I don't know if how he would do coming back here, but he he did at that time he did a show, and it was like his regular comedy show. And then he kind of, during COVID, I think he switched and started talking more about, issues and things that were going on. And he's, I mean, I got to give, that guy's got balls, man. Just to go out and be open and talking. And cause you, if you take a stance on something, you run the risk of being canceled, or just being blasted by people. It's a weird time that we're in where, if you're on a particular side, you run the risk of just getting hammered by the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I try to steer clear of politics as much as we talked about this the other day. How many times we've typed something and then read it back and went, okay. And then we delete it.
delete.
It's off my chest now.
It's like I write the whole thing out and then delete. Yeah. Or I'll do it. Like I've done some posts. Like it's interesting. Like every time I do anything that's political, I do it right in the middle. And I do it. No, I know what I'm doing. It's not like, oh, sorry, that was an accident. I mean, I know exactly what I'm doing. So I'll do the post knowing it's going to, ruffle some feathers. And then you get the two sides coming in, and it turns into this massive argument. And the other thing I'll just say is I reserve the right to delete. So like I've had many posts, if all of a sudden it just gets too crazy, I'm just like, go in there and just delete the post and it's gone.
Yeah.
It served its purpose, right? It doesn't have to stay on the internet forever. So,
it doesn't hurt to get people to think. That's a lot of the problem these days, is that we don't talk to the other side. No matter which side you're in, you just think those are the crazy people, right? And in reality, I think more people are in the middle by far than the fringe, but yet the fringes run it for whatever reason, which is weird. It's like the majority is here, and the fringes are here, but these dudes are running the whole show. There's crazies on both sides that I disagree with.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people like us are somewhere, maybe a little right, a little left, whatever. But generally speaking, we're humans, and we want to get along with everyone, and we want our family to be taken care of, and food on the table, and some freedom to do some of the things we want to do. That's pretty universal.
I think everybody wants to be happy and successful and drama free. Have a good life and good family, good food, good entertainment, good stuff.
Speaking of entertainment, tell me about, I know you love to go to the outdoor concerts in Bend. You seen any good concerts lately?
Yeah, last week we had Sublime and Slightly Stupid in town with Atmosphere and the Movement. That was a cool reggae fest. And it was so cool for me because I went to high school with the guys from Sublime.
Oh, no kidding.
So yeah, so I graduated Wilson High School in Long Beach, and Bradley, who died, who was our lead singer, he was they were a year behind me in Wilson, and then Eric and Bud were in the same year. And what's interesting is a friend of mine, Kenji, who was the guy that actually taught me to surf. Like when I moved to Southern California, I fell in love. I got in the ocean, fell in love with the ocean, got a boogie board, loved riding waves, and one day I was like, I had the sponge, and he's like, dude, you need to get rid of the sponge. I got the surfboard, and he's like, come with me, I'll teach you to surf. And he taught me to surf on the south side of Seal Beach Pier, which Seal Beach Pier is like, north side is like all crumbly and slow, and south side just like on the it's like you have to stand up, otherwise you're just gonna get chucked.
Yeah.
And so like Kenji taught me to surf, and what's interesting is he was one of the original band members. He actually got kicked out of the band in high school for partying too hard. And I remember talking to him like 10 years ago. He's like, dude, I'm so glad that I got kicked out of the band, because if I didn't get kicked out of the band, I'd be right where Bradley is. But now they got Rome in there singing, and Rome sounds so much like Bradley. It's crazy. So we've got that. My Morning Jacket's coming to town. Revolution. And it's crazy because it's like 8 minutes from the house. It's right on the river. It's probably one of the greatest venues you could ever be at. And so we got tickets for like 6 or 7 more shows this summer. And speaking of like shows, but different, have you seen that movie Sound of Freedom yet?
I have not seen it yet. I need to go. I'm gonna grab my wife. We're gonna go this week for sure.
Yeah, I'm going this week for sure. I think like one thing like I got a soft spot for is kids, and we need to protect our children. And I mean, I got 2 kind of grown kids. Johnny turned 19 yesterday, and Joey's 16, and so I don't have these little youngsters anymore. But man, just like their innocence and their protecting our children from evil is a high priority of mine. And what's crazy about that movie, I was looking at an article yesterday, like Disney turned it down. Amazon turned it down. So Amazon Prime, Disney, Netflix, they all turned it. They were like, we're not going to run this flick. So they got this other studio to run it. And it's like beating Indiana Jones and in the box office. It's like, and it's like the only way that the word's getting out about that movie is like us. Like word of mouth. Like we got to spread the word and get people to be aware of what's happening with with that in our world, and it's evil. Super evil. So I haven't seen it yet, but Carla and I are going to go watch it this week. So
I mean, every person that I see post about it, our friends typically around our industry, have said it's life-changing. We're not going to come out the same person.
Yeah, somebody posted something. They went to one of those movie theaters where you can eat, right? Whatever I forget what they're called. They're like you can sit down and have a full meal. We had them in Scottsdale, and the waitress came back, and I remember seeing on the receipt, like, thank you for coming to watch this movie. This is the most, I don't know if she said important, but the most crucial movie of our time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm really interested to see it. I'm sure it's not going to be fun to watch, but I think there needs to be a heightened degree of awareness around what's happening.
Yeah, no doubt. I thought I saw something that they estimate there's like double the number of slaves at the height of slavery in the world today than there were back then.
Yeah, sex slaves. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Oh.
Dude, listen, man, super fun to rap with you.
Likewise, man.
Yeah, I'm going to start doing this a little more frequently. I guess kind of call it Joe Rogan style, just sitting down, having chats with industry folks and shooting the shit and having a conversation and just talking real. And love you to death, man. You're a cool dude. I'll have to have you come over and hang at the river property again, and we'll
can't wait.
Do some fishing and do some camping.
Some shenanigans.
Yes, sir. All right, brother, man.
All right, brother.
Be well. We'll talk to you soon.
We'll see you. Take care, everybody.
See ya.